Hello and welcome back to Book Bestie. I am your host Megan. It is an accident I'm wearing the same sweatshirt as episode 6. It's not an accident I'm wearing the same one as episode 7 because I am currently filming them back to back. So, if you're watching visually, just don't talk about it. We're going to ignore it. It's a different sweatshirt. It just happens to be the same color. So just ignore it. Pretend like nothing's wrong. The audio listeners will never ever know. Keep this between us, alright? In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about all things annotating. What supplies I use, how I find something worth annotating, etc, etc. This is also going to be quite a short episode. I think episode 7 is also going to be quite short, so I apologize in advance, but I feel like it's better to put something up than nothing. So we're going to go with annotating this week. Some people absolutely despise annotating, which is 100% fine. I love my looks looking booked. Let me try that one again. I love the look of my books. What? I love my books looking red. Jeez, there we go. Got there in the end. I love looking at my shelf and seeing like cracked spines and tabs hanging out, and sometimes I always seem to like fold the front cover over too much to the point where it's never flat against the book anymore. So, that one does annoy me a little bit, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. And some people don't. Some people like to like so precisely read their books so that nothing ever happens to them. And that's cool too. Your bookshelves probably look wonderful. Mine look like a disaster, but I kind of enjoy it. I personally don't annotate quote unquote seriously. Like, I love having a pen in my hand and scribbling on a book and throwing a tab in if I think that the quote is cute. But I don't really find that I do seriously annotate. I read very, very quickly. It's definitely an issue with mine. Maybe I shouldn't record the episodes back to back because I seem to have lost my ability to speak. I find that I read quite quickly. So annotating for me just makes me slow down. When I'm like scribbling little things on the page and all that kind of stuff, it just means that I am taking in what I'm reading a bit more. Mostly what I do is honestly just with the pen. I just scribble fuck you or something, or I'm like, oh, that's adorable, and write a bunch of hearts around something. So especially actually fantasies, but anyway, I'll get into that. In terms of supplies, all my little book tabs I have either got off Amazon or Shein. You can buy such huge packs of them for like €8. I have an ungodly amount. I'm not even kidding. I have so many. I actually have so many that I have enough to be able to have a lot of colors down in Carlo and a lot of colors here when I'm at home. Like, that's crazy. I should not have that many, but I do. It's actually gotten to a point now where I have taken all of the tabs off of like the little plastic things that they come on, and I've color coded them. So, that's how sad my life. That's how much time I have in my life. Just in case you're wondering. Amazon, when you buy them off there, you have a little bit more control over colors. Like a lot of the ones on Shein, it's like assorted colors and you get like whatever they have basically. If you know that you're reading a book series soon and you need like a blue, you can kind of go to Amazon and they'll be a little bit more reliable on terms of like colors and stuff like that, and stories between the colors and whatever. So they are the tabs that I use. In terms of pens, this is really sad. This episode is gonna make me sound really, really sad that I actually have like a favorite pen to annotate with. Anyway, one of my favorite pens is the Papermate Inkjoy, and another one is the Staedtler Ball 432M. Sounds like a freaking plane, not a pen. I feel like having a good pen is like one of the best parts about annotating, because there is nothing worse than when you're drawing a line under a quote and halfway through the pen just gives up. It just gives up, and when you try to go back over it, you never perfectly get it again. So you end up doing like a loop under the line, and it drives me up the wall. I hate it so much. I'm like, god damn, I've ruined it. And then I get sad because as I mentioned, like I'm not very particular about how I annotate things, but that is something that is like really grinds my gears, is having to like go over something and then it starts to look messy. I don't like that. I like accidental messiness. I like purposeful messiness, not like accidental. Yeah, because like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go back over something and I'm going to absolutely screw it up and it's going to look awful. So I hate having to do that. So having like a really good pen is the most important part. And as I mentioned, like a pen is what I use the most. So having a really good pen is very, very helpful for me. In terms of highlighters, I use mild liners. Now, mild liners are ridiculously expensive. The only reason I use mild liners is because I got a pack of 15 in Tesco for €15. There was like €1 a highlighter. I was like, I can't not buy that. Sometimes you have to pay 12 for like a pack of 2. So I was like 100% I'm buying them. I got them around start of like school time. So if you're maybe like looking out for them, that would probably be the best time. I think I got them in like October. So keep an eye out. If I see them again in October, I'll make sure to like remind you guys to be like, hey, my liners, Tesco, €15. Got you, don't worry about it. I don't love highlighting when I'm annotating. I feel like no matter how good the highlighter is, it is always going to go through the page. There's like, it's just always going to happen. And I hate that. I hate when it becomes like transparent and like kind of wet. I hope you know what I mean, and that's not like the oddest sentence that is you've ever heard in your life, but I like sometimes like doodling little hearts in like a pink one because I think that's really cute. But I try to keep it like to a minimum. I don't like highlighting full sentences. Maybe I'll highlight like a word, but I tend to avoid highlighting like full sentences or paragraphs or something like that because I just feel like it leads to that accidental messiness that I really don't like. I didn't really use highlighters a whole bunch before I got the mild liners because I had bought Bic ones I think before, and oh my god, they just like destroyed a book for me. They went through the page so bad that it like highlighted like 3 pages after it, and I was like, are you kidding? So that really annoyed me. But yeah, overall that mild liners are what I'm currently using for like little doodles and stuff, like nothing major. In terms of like how I annotate and what I do personally, I've seen a lot of people who like start off and each tab has a different color. Yes, Megan, but also each tab has a different emotion or a different like flag point. So like some of them will be like cute moments, sad moments, romantic moments, and I don't have the brain capabilities. Anyway, I don't have the thought process to be able to do that before I've read the book. Like, I understand if you're going back in for like a reread, maybe that makes sense, but like first time off the bat, I am not going to have like each of my emotions separated with tabs. Personally, what I do is I usually just pick like 2 to 3 tab colors that match the entire vibe of the book, and I'll just alternate so that the sides kind of look cute. And then also, I don't love when the tabs are sticking out like a huge amount. I tend to put them quite close to the edge so that they're just there a little bit and you can see that they're there, but they're not, when you push it into your bookshelf, you're not like folding them all, you know, that kind of way, because I feel like that it gets really annoying. And then it can also just lead to them getting damaged. They can fall out that way because they're getting caught on things, and then they become bent and they can sometimes bend the pages and etc, etc. So I just feel like having them quite close to the edge. I usually put it like just above the sentence that I am annotating, because if you put it over, obviously that completely defeats the purpose of annotating something because you can't see it now. So that's a bit stupid. I mentioned that I love underlying cute quotes. Underlying I use for like smaller things, like little sentences, nicknames, shit like that. And then if it's like a big paragraph, I don't underline everything. I kind of just use like square brackets around the paragraph. And then sometimes I'll write stuff just on the edge of the bracket, kind of like, oh my god, that was so adorable, or fuck that guy, or I can't believe he said that. Stuff like that. Usually what I write down, there's no like formula for it. Like, you don't have to write like this exact thing, but personally I just write whatever I would probably say to somebody if they were sitting in front of me. Like if we were both sitting there reading the same book, and if I was going to look up and go, oh my God, I can't believe he did that, I'd write that down, you know? I don't know. I just don't feel like, a lot of people take annotating very seriously, which is awesome. And I love seeing books that have been very seriously annotated. I think it's gorgeous. But when it's my first time reading a book, I don't take it that seriously. I just kind of want to have fun and slow down, as I mentioned, and just be able to kind of trigger little moments. Like sometimes that annotating also helps with my memory and stuff. Like when I flick back through a book and I can go, oh my God, I forgot that happened. And because I've like put a big square bracket and wrote like, I hate this dude, I'll be like, that's why I hated this dude. So it just helps with that. Annotating for me helps hugely with fantasies. I am only really kind of getting into reading fantasies, and sometimes when you're reading them, all the names are just like the same, or like so unbelievably close to being the same that it's kind of hard to distinguish between them. So I do like to sometimes like if I'm reading like a big paragraph and say this character gets mentioned and stuff, I'm like, okay, this is this guy, he did such a thing, that's who I need to picture in my brain. And sometimes writing that can help me a lot with that. Also, I love with fantasies to write like, I think this is foreshadowing. I think this is a lie or something like that, you know, because I'm like, when I can go back to it and be like, I knew it. Which is very sad. Again, just shows how incredibly sad my life is. I don't annotate every book I go into. Like currently I am reading Never by Jessa Hastings, and I have underlined like one or two quotes just because I think Jessa Hastings is such a beautiful writer. Like I just, some of the quotes that have come out of Magnolia, I want to get The Great Undoing like tattooed on my arm. So I went into Never kind of knowing that there were probably going to be some really beautiful quotes that I wanted to kind of remember, and I bought the hardback of that book. It's actually the first hardback book I've ever owned, which is pretty cool. I'm really not helping the whole how sad my life is thing here, but just got excited over a hardback book. But I knew that I wanted to kind of maybe annotate that in a couple places just to kind of add to the whole vibe of it. So in terms of like the books that I do annotate, like fantasy is always one. Even if it's not annotating, I always have a pen in my hand with fantasies. It just helps me keep on track and keep a reminder of like what's going on sometimes. I'm trying to think of what other, Emily Henry books I always annotate, because similar to Jessa Hastings, she's just a beautiful writer, and I love some of the quotes. Like I went in and annotated Happy Place when I read it for the first time, and I'm so unbelievably happy I did, because that like some of the quotes in that book are just like heartbreaking. This year I will be doing my first ever reread of a book. I'm going to read the entire Magnolia Park series again, and my original covers destroyed. Like I have like tabs sticking out of them, there's writing all over that book, I have like a fuck you BJ counter that goes on throughout it, but I want to reread those books with the new covers, and I'm gonna like really try and like properly annotate them. We'll see how it goes, but I want to like have a ruler so all my lines are straight. I want to really just make them beautiful, you know, because that's, again, I'm really not helping this whole like how sad my life is thing, but like I promise I'm good. Like I enjoy doing it. Does that help at all? I hope it does, because I don't want anyone to think that like I live a very sad life of enjoying highlighters and stationery. I really hope somebody's out there that agrees with me. I definitely can't be alone. I also sometimes like I read A Court of Thorns and Roses actually on my Kindle. I had ordered the box set, but they weren't going to be here for a while, and I really wanted to start it, so I started it on my Kindle. So I had highlighted stuff on my Kindle and was able to transfer it over into A Court of Thorns and Roses. So that is probably like my neatest annotating book, because obviously I knew it all ahead of time going into it and stuff, so that obviously made it a lot easier and a lot neater. I wasn't in like a manic state of like, oh my god, you know, I was more like, okay, I wanted to underline this and I thought this was cute and whatever. So this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode. I apologize. I feel like it's going to be the shortest episode of Book Bestie yet. I think it's only going to be about like 10 to 15 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed regardless. I really want to start doing more like book focused episodes this year, but obviously that takes a lot of time to be able to like reread books and really properly research into them and have notes and everything and plan those episodes. So I feel like there are going to be a couple filler episodes here and there, but I really hope you guys don't mind too much. If you have any ideas that you'd like me to talk about on the podcast, please let me know. You can send them to me on Instagram at bookbestiepod or at Megan_Jor. Also on TikTok as well. That's a huge place that you can tell me. Megan_Jor on TikTok. YouTube comments for the podcast. It's available on Megan_Jor again on YouTube. I would love to hear what you guys have to say and what you guys want to hear, because at the end of the day, I want this to be like a big community and I want you guys to be as big of a part of this podcast as possible. But yeah, I think that is it for this week's episode of Book Bestie. Thank you so much for listening. Again, apologies for the short episode. I really, really appreciate all the love and support. So thank you so much. Bye.